What's up, everybody? So many shows, so many shows.com, so many mashups. This is Mike. This is Pete. This is Abbott Elementary Season 2.
Nope, back up. Season 5.
I have no clue what episode it was either. So, what episodes we in?
Season 5, episodes 17 and 18.
Remember when we were in Season 2? Well, you probably don't remember, but I remember when I was in Season 2, and I was like, oh my God, because I remember I caught up on the show late. So I think Tracy told me about it. I started watching it, and then it was like, oh, this thing's hilarious. Let me go watch all 3 seasons and catch up, and then we ended up mashing it. So that was cool. What's up, Mike?
Not too much. I think I got into it midway through season 3 because you guys were telling me about it. So I'm like, I got to check this show out. So
Yeah, I was right before that. Like I said, they were like, "Oh, you're in the school, so this is easy." Blah blah blah. I do like our 2 episode format because the first episode was no homework. The second episode was April Fools. 2 very different episodes. I thought everything was interesting. It's Abbott, so it's all about the characters at this point. It's like The Office. I feel because each episode is going to be really funny with the characters. You got instead of being an office setting, it's a school setting, so there's only certain things you can really do to not be extreme. But even in like The Office, they would be like, okay, this episode, Michael Scott's taking everybody on a field trip, so get on the company bus, or let's go on, just like the one when they went on the cruise ship or the boat or whatever it was, the booze cruise.
I never watched The Office, so sorry.
Oh my God, you're missing out on some good stuff.
I know
So yeah,
it's on the ever-growing short list of shows.
yeah, but
to
The
go
Office
back
is
and
like a lot of hours of television, so it's
Yep.
hard when there's like I watched you catch up on a show that has 1 season. Like I was looking at this show on Netflix called Happy's Place with Reba McEntire from 2024, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. There's 10 episodes. They're half an hour each. That's doable.
Yes.
Jury Duty, Company Retreat, which we do mashups on. So many mashups, and that's a half an hour an episode. So you can do 10 episodes in a sitting.
Yep.
You get to 9 seasons at 20 episodes a pop. That's not a short list. That by itself, you could probably knock off 18 shows in the same time it would take you to finish the show like The Office.
Yes, exactly. Especially
And
nowadays with the platforms of shows going to 8 to 13 episode seasons.
that's what I'm saying, and that's why it's hard for someone like you to even catch up on a really good show that has a bunch of seasons out. Because how do you ever catch up when you have all the, you can watch so many other shows and that have 1 season. My sweet spot is you give me, similar to Paradise, 10 to 13 episodes a season, 3 seasons already completed with a finale where I could just tune in for a weekend and watch it. And if I don't get through it during the weekend, I could catch up on the weekdays, or you just sit there and say, I'm going to spend my whole, weekend watching this, and you just vegetate, and it's awesome. But
Yes.
no homework. So we find out that in this episode, the teachers are not, or the Ava enforces a no homework rule to try to keep up with some of the other principals, or one of the other principals who she's, feels inferior to at the point.
Her nemesis, Crystal, yes.
Yes. We find out at the end that Crystal doesn't even test or anything, that
No
her
tests,
kids are
no
just
homework, no grades. They
Yeah,
go
so
on vibes.
that was the big twist at the end, that she was competing with vibes. And like I said, they find clever ways to make things funny, the way they made, like they were sneaking the homework to the kids.
Yes, that was great.
And then you saw like the Mr. Johnson scene where he took one of the kids' sandwiches and he looks over and there's like a homework sheet in it, and he's just like, okay, yeah.
That was great. Yes.
But Jacob noticed that the minds weren't being stimulated enough without homework at home, that the kids were actually having more problems in the daytime at the school because they weren't practicing at home.
Yeah, Barb too was having issues with her students remembering the sight words that they were working on the day before. But she called it that the kids wouldn't retain the information without flashcards or something to help that night. Yep.
Yeah, the homework. So, like I said, it was, as far as, plot and storyline, very mediocre episode. No homework. Ha ha ha. What are they going to do? It's this mad scramble. I feel like I said, it was a good filler. There wasn't really, much that grabbed my attention, but there's always, like I said, there's always the good, because it started off with Jacob making the announcements, which is privy to his new position, right? That's why he's been making these announcements about, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to change this, we're going to change that.
Yep.
So they nailed that. And like I said, they had, the kind of teacher principal standoff when Barbara put Ava in her place.
Yeah, I thought Ava was about to take off her earrings and throw down.
Not even throw down. I just thought there was going to be a problem, or it was going to lead to, possibly Barb quitting, or
Being fired.
something strike, or a problem down the road. Instead, Ava kind of just caved agreed with Bob, went with Barb, and they installed homework again. And then when those teachers were making fun of Ava, she, like we said the other episode, she put in her place. As far as the April Fool's one, left more funnier. I
Yes.
felt like I felt like they had something, and they were really like when they were blaming Gregory,
Yep.
saying that he was the ultimate, slingshot because serious day, he's playing it off like he hates April Fools, but he's the one really playing all the pranks. To me that would have been funny, clever, and genius, and just fit the whole narrative of the show and just be a little bonkers. Instead, it wasn't Gregory at all.
Nope.
And what was that? Ava's assistant?
Yep. Ava's assistant, Daya.
And she put what, vinegar in the coffee, Keurig for the coffee, and she likes to play these games and these pranks. And was she fired at the end of the episode? Is she?
Well, Ava said she was fired, and then Dia's like, I think Dia looked at her a certain way, and Ava's like, "Nope, April Fools."
That was funny, that part. When
Yes.
she's like, "Well, you're fired," and she's like, "April Fools," and then she stepped back. I do
Yes.
remember that part. It was funny. They were trying to figure out who's the prankster among them, who's doing all these things. Jacob it was Melissa who made a deal with the kids that they could have like 5 bathroom passes if the girl tells the kids to stop. Yet it wasn't the kids doing it at all, so they kept thinking it
Yes.
was the kids. But it was the kids because the kids supposedly worked with the assistant lady. She
Yeah.
said it was me and the kid.
Yes. So maybe Dia just wanted to keep going since it was her birthday and all.
Now, do you consider her a main character? I
Not a
don't.
main
Just that's what I'm
character.
saying.
We see her pop up every so often. I mean, she doesn't really have a good like arcs like this episode.
Well,
So,
that's what I was gonna say. Is this because they've been introducing new characters little by little, and they do have another season coming, no matter what. We know that.
yep.
So, is this their way to keep it going? Because I thought for a moment too that it was gonna be your boy, the teacher, the new teacher that had Barbara when he was a kid. I thought
Oh,
he was gonna be the prankster behind everything,
okay.
but he didn't even appear in the episode at all.
No,
This
I
one, at
didn't see
least,
him
he was in the. I think he was in the one before, right? He was in the homework one.
yeah, but I think he was more where in like the library or wherever they met, a teacher's
Yeah,
lounge or whatever. We probably saw a quick glimpse of him, but
yeah. It
I don't
wasn't.
think he had any speaking roles in either episode.
That's what I'm saying. You wasted an episode on Dia when we thought that this new guy, this new teacher, was going to be like a major player in the show, and he's more of a side character and has probably as much screen time as the lady from April Fools, which is why, like I said, it was kind of a letdown when it was that person because, like, even though we know who that person is, because we're the diehard fans who watch this show and mash it up, and where we talk about it a lot outside of the show that people don't know about because
Yeah.
this is one of our jams, but we know who these people are. But they, like the average viewer, if you're just putting on a show on Wednesday and you're watching for Ava, Jacob, Melissa, Mr. Johnson, and you get Dia, you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Hmm.
I thought it was funny too. What was that guy's name? Morton,
Yes.
the
Morton's in
annoying
the
guy, and
hospital.
he was in the hospital sick,
Yep.
and they were blaming him. He's like, I actually been in for a couple of days, guys. Thanks for calling. And they didn't really want to call him to see if he was okay. They were calling to see if he was the prankster.
Well, not only that, but when he panned I thought he was like just in the school somewhere, pretending to be like in a hospital. But when they panned the phone over and it was like the IV drip thing, I'm like, oh, that could have been fake too. But I thought for sure it was a fake out at first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it is. I felt like the episode was good. It was funny. The
Yes.
characters are always good. The writing's always good. But the whole thing about the prankster being like who it was to me wasn't that good of a reveal. Is the
Not
word?
a good payoff. I kind of
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it. I was on the opposite spectrum of that because we didn't see it from somebody who's so kind of tightly wound, but somebody who's that, coordinated and stuff like that. I mean, so plus Ava had herself locked in her quarantined in her office. It's like once when she started seeing all the pranks started happening, she's like, ah, I'm locked in my office. Here's the key to the teacher lounge. I'm gonna go lock myself, quarantine
Which
myself
was
in my office.
hilarious, but she still
Yeah.
got caught. She's
Yeah,
like, "Oh
she
my
still
God,
got
I've been
got.
April fooled.
Yep,
Who
she
could
still
it be?" And
got got.
but that's when she figured out that it could only be the one person who's been in her office.
Yep.
So
So
she
that's why I was
actually
kind of
figured out who it
glad.
was at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of glad it was Dia because we don't normally see this side of that character. So I kind of like seeing this side of it
But
because
that's
then,
also why I would have thought that it would have been perfect to be Gregory.
oh, yeah.
Because he's always a tight ass and always anal. So it's like to
Yeah.
have him be like, letting loose and being a prankster for that one day where he's just out of control and mischievous and like, oh
Yeah.
my God, no one knew this about Gregory. He has a secret life of being a prankster. Like that makes him so much cooler. Instead, he just really did push the serious day narrative and that was his thing.
Yeah.
So he's anti-April Fools, I guess.
Yes. Yes. Pretty straight laced guy.
But overall, like I said, it's Abbott Elementary. It's our jam. We love the shows, and like you said, we only have a few episodes left, right? We only have like 4 episodes left or whatever for the
Yeah,
season,
four
and
episodes
one of
left
them
of
is a
this
double.
season.
Yeah,
Yeah, double. It looks like yeah, 2 episodes on the 23rd, I believe.
which means like 2.5 weeks left from this time, people. So you better enjoy it.
Exactly.
It's a good
It'll go
show.
by faster
Anything
than you
else
know it.
on your notes about the
Yeah,
episodes that you thought was interesting?
yeah, I did want to bring up for the episode of No Homework. I love that when Melissa and Jacob were talking about all the time they would save, not having to worry about homework. Jacob was saying that he could beat the bike traffic home because then he might not get doored again. And Melissa's like, "Oh yeah, sorry about a couple days ago. I didn't even see you." I'm like, "Yeah, right. She didn't see him." And then Greg doesn't grade homework. He just kind of puts stars in all the homework. And then at the end of the episode, he put a star in Janine's head. And then Mr. Johnson's like, "Oh, my turn, my turn." So he put a star in his head.
But he
Mr.
doesn't grade the
Johnson,
homework. He just gives them a
yes.
star as if they knows they did it.
But I thought Mr. Johnson had quite a few good moments in these 2 episodes because it was not only that, but the sandwich, like you had brought up earlier. He was the only one that was celebrating when Ava said that the school was going to be locked till 7:16 a.m. And then the April Fool's episode, they were doing like if you can match with a celebrity, and Melissa didn't match with Stanley Tucci or somebody else, but Mr. Johnson matched with Stanley Tucci as
Yeah.
being soulmates. Yeah, a lot of good episodes. Oh, plus Melissa's one of the pranks against Melissa that made her cry was the students posing her in Cowboys gear. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, with the Eagles thing.
Yep,
That
because
was
she's a
good.
diehard Eagles fan.
It's funny because you mentioned Jacob's bike, and they actually ended up putting that inside the
The
display
trophy
case, which
case.
is impossible. That's what I'm saying. How did she take apart the bike and then you know how hard it is to build the bike?
Yes,
So it's like,
it
holy
is
shit,
a
where's all the pieces?
lot of parts,
Yeah.
a lot of bolts and stuff.
And
So,
he pranked himself too. He poured water on his crotch so it looked like he pissed
yep.
himself so the kids would not prank him, but it wasn't. It was already all the wheels were already in motion.
Exactly. I like these 2 episodes. A lot of good, funny moments. I was surprised it was Dia at the end, but it's kind of funny seeing all the pranks pull or all the pranks being pulled on all the teachers.
Oh,
Yeah,
great episode, hilarious. To me, not a great reveal, but if they follow up on it over the next couple episodes and they do make some people more important characters, then it would make more sense. If that was
yeah.
like the way to introduce Dia as a new character, then I'm all for it. But if we don't see her again till season 8, then I don't want to hear this shit.
I think they're expanding her role a little bit, kind of getting her more out there.
Because they're getting ready to boot Barb. I'm telling you. Unfortunately, I see things, and this is a bad thing I see, and that we're losing a character or two because the show's just going too long, and they can't afford to pay everybody. It's just the politics of the business people. I'm sorry. I hate to be the killjoy. That's it for me for this moment. So many shows.com, so many mashups. Mike and Pete. This is Abbott season 5 episodes. I guess what was it like 18 and 19? You said
17 and 18.
17 and 18. I'm all up. All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great week. Talk to you on the next one.